So welcome to this fourth module of our course, Introduction to Cybersecurity. So in this module, we'll be looking at detecting, defending, and mitigating cyber threats. So we've looked at the different types of cyber attacks and cyber threats. We looked at cybersecurity vulnerabilities, and we saw all the different types of cyber crimes and cyber attacks. Now, we need to know as cybersecurity professionals, so as someone who is going into cybersecurity, these are the things you will be doing. You'll be detecting, you could be defending, and you could be mitigating cyber threats. So detecting basically is you have your tools or the ways in which you will monitor some of the threats or some of these cyber attacks. Then defending are putting tools in place and doing things to prevent that any type of cyber attack from happening. Then mitigating is almost the same thing as defending, but in mitigating, then there are rules put in place to prevent all those things. So let's just dive straight into this module. So let me introduce you to some cybersecurity devices and technologies. Okay, some of these devices and technologies are used for, like I said, defending, mitigating, and detecting cyber attacks. So we have a firewall. So a firewall is a device that helps you to monitor and control incoming and outgoing network traffic based on predetermined security rules. So the way a firewall works, there are different types of firewalls. There are firewalls that are host-based, and there are some that are device-based, like there are hardware types of firewall. So most organizations that go to office physically, they have the physical firewall, and while most ones that implement work from home type of schedule or remote, they have the host-based firewall on their computers, on their workstations. So the usefulness of firewall is to monitor and control any incoming and outgoing traffic. For example, your laptop could be set in a way, or the firewall installed on your laptop could be set in a way that you would not be able to visit facebook.com. You will not be able to visit any torrent site. They will block traffic from those sites. So they would set a rule that once someone visits any torrent site or any sites that has, they could put the website of the torrent, or they could just state it torrent site. So if you try to visit those sites, it will not allow you to visit those sites. So that is what a firewall does. And also any traffic, like I said, it monitors incoming and outgoing. So any traffic that is coming in, if you are trying to access something, or if someone is trying to send something to you, and it's not set on the rule, if it's coming from an IP address that is not part of the permitted IP address, sorry, I wouldn't want to confuse you with all the whole IP address and all those things. But when you learn networking, which is what I would advise you to learn, you would understand how a firewall is best implemented. So the next one is the IDS and IPS. So IDS means intrusion detection system. That's what an IDS means, intrusion detection system. You know what intrusion is. Then IPS is intrusion prevention system. So an IDS detects and alerts on potential security breach and intrusion. So once an IDS notices that a cyber attack is happening, it immediately alerts everyone in the organization or the cybersecurity professional, which is you, and tells you, oh, there is this attack that is happening either on this workstation or on this server on a particular computer. It just notifies you immediately, and then when you check, you can easily stop it or block it, or most times the IDS automatically stops such attacks. While for the IPS is the one that prevents such attacks. The IDS is just to detect, but the IPS prevents and blocks malicious activities by applying security policies. So there are some policies, it's almost like a firewall, but this one is more in-depth, okay? So it blocks some policies, you apply some policies that will help you block or prevent some of these malicious activities. Okay, so these two, they are mostly implemented in big organizations or in organizations where they have a physical office and people go there to work. And also you most likely see this in banks and places where they have servers, maybe in data centers. So the next one is antivirus software. So this one helps to protect against every form of malware, viruses, by scanning for suspicious activities. So you typically see these ones on workstations, also known as your computers, your laptops. So most laptops have antivirus. So if there's any malware, if someone downloads malware by mistake or visits any strange website that has been noted as a malicious website, your antivirus will help you to prevent some of those things from affecting you, or notify you that there's something wrong with this website you are visiting, or there's something wrong with the file you downloaded. So the next one is a SIEM, which is the Security Information and Events Management System. So what this one does is that it collects logs from different sources within a network and analyzes those logs. So it checks those logs and says, are these things normal? Is this activity normal? Is someone supposed to be able to access this? So that is what a SIEM does. Most top organizations, or almost all the top organizations, uses a form of a SIEM because it is really important, or a SIEM. Okay. So it identifies incidents and anomalies. Anomalies means any strange occurrences. For example, if the amount of data that is supposed to leave maybe a company or a particular organization is maybe 5 gigabytes in a day. For example, when I'm talking about 5 gigabytes, I mean in terms of uploading. So maybe they've checked the normal upload a company is supposed to make, and no matter the files they are sending, no matter the emails, no matter whatever they are doing, they don't upload on more than 5 gigabytes. And then all of a sudden, the SIEM is noticing something of 100 gigabytes leaving the system. Maybe someone is uploading something of 100 gigabytes, or 100 gigabyte data is leaving the environment. Then it will flag it immediately and say something is not normal. Then the security professional or the cybersecurity personnel will now check it and see what is happening, what could be causing this. So they would now start investigating. So that is the usefulness of this SIEM. Okay. Then we have vulnerability scanners. These vulnerability scanners, they access network and systems for known vulnerability, misconfigurations, and weaknesses. So for example, Microsoft could tell you, please update your computer right now because there's a vulnerability, there's a mistake we made in the coding or in the patching. And if you don't patch it, or if you don't upgrade your system or update your system, so hackers will gain access through that mistake we made. So you need to upgrade that particular or update that particular vulnerability. But if you don't have these vulnerability scanners, you might not know. So what this vulnerability scanner does is that it looks for all those reported vulnerabilities from the internet, and then checks your entire network, your laptops, your workstations, your servers, all your devices, and then it tells you that, see this particular vulnerability, you need to patch it. So most vulnerability scanners are also patch management solutions or patch management systems. So those patch management systems help to patch the vulnerabilities. Some systems are just vulnerability scanners. They just show you that, okay, this is vulnerable, but they don't patch it. But patch management systems show you that your computer or this workstation in your environment is vulnerable, and then it now helps you to patch it by getting the relevant updates to fix that particular vulnerability in your system. Okay, so that's how that one works. Then there's VPN. I'm sure everyone knows what VPN is. This is virtual private networks. It creates an encrypted tunnel of communication over the network. So some people use VPNs in their workplaces. For example, if you are working outside outside your environment, maybe you're not in the building, maybe you work in the bank and you're not in the building, then for you to access certain systems or certain portals in the bank, you need to be on a VPN, and the VPN must be pointing to a particular location. So that's what the VPN is used for. It's used to encrypt tunnels of communication over the network. So there are different uses of VPN, and there are different applications also of a VPN. In terms of detecting, defending, and mitigating cyber attacks, we need to look at access control principles. So what does this mean? So these are principles that govern access to resources, systems, and information within an organization and infrastructure. Okay, there are principles that govern access to resources, systems, and information within an organization and infrastructure. So only authorized individuals are granted appropriate access while maintaining the CIA of those resources. So remember, we talked about CIA, which means the confidentiality, the integrity, and the availability of those resources. Okay, so it means the correct controls or the right access should be given to only those that require those access. Okay, the gatesman in a bank or the security officer in the bank has no business having the key to the vault, to the bank vault. He has no business, even though it's securing the place, but he should not have a key to the vault for any reason. It shouldn't have the key to certain sensitive places in the bank. So that is what this is saying, that you should control the access which you give people. This is the only way to prevent certain types of cyber attacks. Aside that, even computer also, some people should not have, it's not everybody that should have the password to accessing maybe the company website. Let's say the name of the company is maybe scybersafe.com. It's not everybody that should have access to go to the back end of that website. It's just maybe only one person in that organization or in that company. So that is what access control is trying to say. So it further goes down to explain the different types of access control principles. So we have the first one, which is principle of least privilege, which is saying that nobody should be given any more than the privilege that the person requires. Okay, give the person the least privilege required for his job role. Okay, the person shouldn't, nobody in the organization should just have all the access to everything. You should make sure that if, for example, there are different people in the organization. There could be people in finance, there could be people in IT, people in admin, people in HR. So each of them should be given the right access that they need. Everyone shouldn't have access to the Microsoft admin of the organization. It should just be limited to someone in the IT department, not even everybody. So that is what this principle of least privilege is talking about. Then there's separation of duties. The reason why it is difficult for money to just be stolen in banks or all these financial institutions, the reason it's difficult is because of separation of duties. For example, in bank approvals, if someone tries to debit money from my account, I go to the bank, I tell them I want to transfer some money, and maybe the money is around 1 million naira or 2 million naira, something very huge. There's approval processes. Maybe the person at the teller would go ahead and make the deduction or the debit. Then there will be someone above that person that would have to authorize the transaction or check the transaction, and then move it to the final person that immediately grants the permission for the money to get moved. So imagine one person had the ability to just send this money. Things will go wrong in organizations, because the teller person can decide, oh, I'm tired of this job, and just send the entire money in someone's account to their account or to a different account. So with this separation of duties, it prevents things like that. Okay, so even if a hacker should hack a computer of someone that does these transactions or transfers and tries to transfer 2 billion to one random account, it won't work, because someone else will have to approve that 2 billion naira transaction. And when the person sees it, he will say, okay, something is strange here. Okay, so that's why this is helpful. So this is part of access control. Then there is need to know principle. Okay, so everyone in every organization needs to just know the thing necessary for your job role. If you don't need something for your job role, then you shouldn't know it. If you don't need access to a place for your job role, you shouldn't have access to it. So that is what that particular one is talking about. Then we have role-based access control. Role-based access control is almost similar to this need to know, but based on your role, you are given access to certain things. So if you are the IT staff, an IT staff should have passwords to certain devices or certain computers in the environment. And if you're a cybersecurity staff also, you should have access to certain things. An IT professional is different from someone in finance. So someone in finance could have access to their banking portals, but someone in IT department should not have access to it. Okay, you see how that works. Even though the IT staff should have passwords and whatever it is, but should not have access to the banking application or the banking portal. That one should be handled by those in the finance. So that is what this role-based access control is talking about. And then there is multi-factor authentication. We all know what this one is, multi-factor authentication. And it's just this. So this will help you, even if someone has access to a password and the person does not have the second level of authentication, the person will not be able to gain access. So this is controlling access to certain things. So multi-factor authentication, this is clear enough. Then we have audit trails and logs. So it's saying that every system should be able to keep audit trails and logs. This is to help you monitor when something is going wrong in a particular system. When I mean system, I mean both computers, both the organization, all as a whole. That's what I mean by system. Then the last one here, we have the AAA. This is another important stuff in cybersecurity which we need to know. AAA, which stands for authentication, the authorization, and the accounting. So let me further explain what this means. So authentication is making sure that you verify the identity or a system attempting to gain access. So anybody that is trying to gain access to something must authenticate. You must authenticate by either putting your biometrics, maybe your fingerprints. You want to access a vault that has money, you have to authenticate. Who are you exactly? Who is trying to? The system should ask you who is trying to gain access, who is trying to authenticate. So when you put your fingerprint, it will scan it and say, okay, it's Emmanuel that is trying to access this. So is Emmanuel authorized to access it? This reauthorization comes in place. Is Emmanuel authorized to access that vault is trying to access? So authorization is granting or denying access right based on authenticated users' privilege or access. So if I put my fingerprint, it checks it, it tries to authenticate it, and after checking it, if it says that I'm not authorized to access it, it blocks it immediately. I wouldn't be able to access it. Then it can also notify some certain people that someone was trying to access this. So you can see how this helps in cybersecurity. If a hacker is trying to access something and is not authorized, is trying to authenticate and is not authorized to do so, it denies the person access and then notifies maybe the cybersecurity professionals or whoever that is supposed to notify that someone tried to gain access to this thing and the person is not authorized. In good systems, in good control systems, it will tell you where it will tell you the person that tried to gain access. It will tell you where the person is located in case it's something that happens remotely or something that happens physically. It will give you enough information about who the person that tried to access that particular system. Then we have what we call accounting, which is keeping logs of such activities. So it's always important to keep logs, okay? And this is what I talked about. Keep logs of if someone should come here and log into a website. Let's say I go and log into the organizational website, cybersafe.com. I log in, I change some things on the website, I update the blog or whatever it is. After I do that and log out, it should be able to record that, okay, Emmanuel put in his password and then logged in and did this modification. Then if someone else should come and do any modification, you should be able to log and say, okay, maybe Stephen came at this time and logged into this particular system and did this and did that. It should show you all the modifications that was done. So these are what good control principles should be able to do. So if a system, if you don't have a system that can do all of these things, then anybody can do anything. A hacker from the US can decide to gain access to your system. You wouldn't know who did it. You wouldn't know anything about how it happened. So with all this in place, the authentication, the authorization, and the accounting, if anything goes wrong or if anything happens, you will be notified. And this will also prevent a lot of things from going wrong. So let's look at the types of access control. So we have there are many types of access control, but there are three main categories or three main types. So we have the physical access control, we have the administrative access control, and we have the technical access control. So let's look at the physical access control. So basically, you know what, I've already explained what access control is, to control access to something. Okay, so we have the physical types. We have bollards. Bollards are these huge stuff. You know, when cars are passing in a place and there's this huge block or something that is blocking the cars from passing and says, no, you can't enter here, something like that, or it's trying to redirect you from going through a restricted area. So that's what bollards are. Then there's cable locks. If you look at your computer, every computer or every laptop or any computing system has, by the left-hand side, a place where you can fix what they call a cable lock, and then you lock it to your desk so that nobody will be able to physically move that device. So they can't come. So even if they rob it a place, they can't steal that computer and then gain all the information there. It will be difficult to take the computer without damaging it. Okay, so that's what cable lock is. Then there's CCTV. We know what CCTV is. It's a physical access control. So it serves as a deterrent. When I mean deterrent, once you see that, oh, there's a CCTV here and you want to do something bad or malicious, it prompts you that someone would find out, and then you would no longer do whatever you want to do. And the CCTV also is there to help you to detect when something has gone wrong, or to monitor. So there are people that monitor live CCTV footages, while some people, they just go back to review it after an incident has happened. So, but it's a type of physical access control. Then we have security signage. This is, I'm sure you've seen a place that says something like there's CCTV 24/7. So once you see something like that, you'll be looking around, where's this CCTV? Even if you cannot see it, you'll be cautious about doing anything bad. So this prevents hackers or malicious actors that are going physically to places to pull some tricks or some stuff. Then the other type of security signage that tells you restricted area, do not go into this place, or dogs or police dogs are here, something like that. So these are physical security controls put in place. I'm sure you'll be wondering, how does this have to do with cybersecurity? Well, cybersecurity is broad. When we talk about physical access controls, you see all these things I'm talking about in places like data centers. Data centers are well protected because data centers has a lot of data, and anybody, they are always careful about anybody that is going into a data center. Even if you call yourself a plumber, you're here to repair pipings, or you call yourself you're someone that cleans, you're a cleaner, you're someone that sweeps. As long as it's in a sensitive place like a data center where they have all those servers and all those stuff, all these things are put in place: CCTV, security signages, and all those things, so that you will not see a door. You will not say you're a cleaner and you see a door that says do not enter or restricted, and then you enter, and when they catch you, you say you didn't know. So this is a control against that. Okay, so then we have guards as usual. We have other access control systems like smart card readers. Without the smart card readers, you can't gain access to a particular room. Without proximity sensors, you won't be able to gain access to a particular place. So there are lots of other physical access controls, but I can't mention all of them now. But as you go further, you'll be able to see some of them. When you start working for certain organizations that have some of these things in place, you would see it. I'm sure when you visit banks, I keep referring to banks because those are like the people that enforce most of these things because of how sensitive their whole organization is. So when you go to some banks, I'm sure you see some doors with that they open with card readers. You see some places that they use fingerprints and all those things. So the next one is administrative access control. So this one, what is implemented here is security policies and procedures, and also awareness. When I mean security policies, there are policies that say things like it's mostly addressing the organizations, and it's telling the organizational staff the general security principles to follow to prevent being victims or vulnerable to any form of cyber attack. So there are policies put in place either by telling people that if you do this, you will get arrested. If you do that, this will happen to you. So they are just policies that the people in the administrative positions put in place. So procedures also, policies and procedures, they go hand in hand. Okay. Then we have awareness, cybersecurity awareness. This is also put in place for all staff in the organization so that they would have knowledge of all of these things which I'm talking about. Then this other one is technical. So by technical, I'm not talking about all these devices that they put in place, this SIEM, this IDS, IPS, firewall, and all those things. There are technical controls that are put in place. Okay, so we have group policies, we have SIEM, we have log monitoring, we have network segmentation, we have RBAC, which is rule-based access control. We have RBAC. This is supposed to be ROBAC, role-based access control, and then we have ABAC. This is what technical control is. So all these controls are sometimes they go hand in hand. You will find all of this in a typical organization, or almost all the organizations are supposed to implement all this. Okay, and then the next thing is, let's look at access rights. So this is just an example. We have an IT department. The IT department has maybe person A, person B, and person C in different teams, or this is team 1, team 2, team 3. and then we have the marketing department, and maybe one person is in the team or two people. These people ought to report to the CEO. These people would, one way or the other, be reporting to the CEO, because CEO is like the main person, is the head of every organization. So whatever happens, they get to report to the CEO. It does not mean that the CEO has access to what the IT department has. The CEO should not have access to what they have access to. The CEO should not have access to what the marketing department has access to. It is none of the CEO's business. The main thing is for them to report whatever he needs to know to him. So you should not have all the passwords. You shouldn't say, because I'm the CEO, you must give me all the passwords that is used in the organization. Because I'm the CEO, you must give me access to be able to authorize any transaction. Because I'm the CEO, you must give me ability to hire anybody I want. So it's not like that. These different departments, they have their roles. They work together in a different team, and then in the end, they can report to the CEO. That concludes this particular module. There are lots of things under access control. Access control on its own is like a whole major topic in cybersecurity, because it's like the main thing when you talk about mitigating and defending and preventing cyber attacks. It's like you need to know all of these things, and I'm sure as you progress, as you go into learning deeper courses or tougher courses, you would see most of those things and you get better understanding with more practice. So I would see you in the next module, which is a very interesting one, navigating the cybersecurity career path. So for those that wish to either study cybersecurity in the university, or those that have done their undergraduate and they want to get into cybersecurity, this module would sort of tell you all the things you're supposed to expect, the things you're not supposed to do, the reason why you shouldn't enter cybersecurity if it is not for you, because cybersecurity is sadly not for everybody. But I think this will just give you a sort of idea on how the whole cybersecurity as a career path is. We've handled the educational part where we talked about what cybersecurity is, the reason for cybersecurity and everything. Now let's see what it is working in the role of a cybersecurity professional. So I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.